Hey there, everyone. Before we jump in, it's a fun idea if you tell us where you're from in the comments. Thanks. Remember to hit like and subscribe. Now let's get settled and begin. I stare out the window of our bedroom, watching the sun dip below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over the neighborhood. My life at this moment feels like that sunset, beautiful, calm, and almost too perfect to be real. I've got everything a man could want: a successful career as an architect, two incredible kids, and a wife, Sarah, who still turns heads with her beauty. We've been married for 10 years, and not a day goes by when I don't feel like the luckiest man alive. The kids are downstairs, probably glued to the TV, but Sarah is in the bathroom taking her time as usual. I smile to myself, thinking about how we met. She was so full of life, a force of nature. Even now, that spark hasn't faded, but lately something has been off. It's small things, really. She's been more distant, distracted even. I've asked her about it, and she always laughs, blaming work. Just the usual stress, Mike, she says, brushing off my concern with a kiss. I try to shake it off, telling myself I'm being paranoid. But there's a nagging feeling I can't ignore. I love her too much to suspect her of anything, yet I just can't let it go. I trust her, but there's a crack in that trust, small but noticeable, like a hairline fracture in one of my designs that no one else sees. Tonight, I plan to surprise her. I've set up a romantic dinner till the kids are in bed, candles, wingers the works. She deserves it, and maybe it'll help ease whatever's been bothering her. I head downstairs to check on the kids and make sure everything's ready. The scent of rosemary and garlic fills the air, mingling with the faint scent of her perfume still lingering in the room. As I'm about to head back upstairs, I see her purse sitting on the kitchen counter. It's slightly open, and inside something catches my eye: a sleek black phone. That's strange. I've never seen this one before. My heart skips a beat, and I feel a cold sweat break out on my forehead. Without thinking, I reach in and pull it out. It's not her regular phone, and my mind starts racing. Why would she have another phone? Who could she be hiding it from? I hear the bathroom door upstairs creak open, and I shove the phone back into her bag. My hands are shaking as I try to compose myself. When Sarah comes down, she's smiling, wearing that red dress I love so much. She looks radiant, her eyes sparkling in the candlelight. "What's all this?" she asks, her voice teasing. "Just a little something for you," I say, forcing a smile. My mind is spinning, but I keep my voice steady. She leans in to kiss me, but all I can think about is that damn phone. She notices my hesitation. "You okay?" she asks, tilting her head. "Yeah," I reply, my heart pounding. "Just fine." I can't sleep. Sarah is curled up beside me, breathing softly, but my mind won't shut off. That phone is burning a hole in my thoughts. I can't let it go. Not this time. Every excuse she's given, every brush off, now feels like a lie. I need to know the truth, even if it kills me. I wait until her breathing deepens, signaling she's fast asleep. Carefully, I slip out of bed and tiptoe downstairs. The house is dark and silent, the only sound the faint hum of the refrigerator. I find her purse on the counter, exactly where I left it after dinner. My hands tremble as I pull out the black phone again, my heart pounding in my chest. I sit down at the kitchen table, the cold wooden surface grounding me as I press the power button. The screen lights up and my stomach knots. There's no passcode. It's like she wanted me to find it, or maybe she didn't think I'd ever look. The thought sends a shiver down my spine. The first thing I see is a string of messages. My blood runs cold as I read them, my eyes widening with every word. They're explicit, vulgar even. They're from a man named David, and it's clear they've been involved for months. I scroll through the photos, each one more damning than the last. Pictures of them together in places I recognize, restaurants we've been to, parks we've taken the kids to. And then there are the pictures of Sarah, wearing nothing but a smile meant for another man. My vision blurs as tears sting my eyes. I can't believe what I'm seeing. My Sarah, the woman I've loved for over a decade, has been betraying me with this stranger. I feel like I'm going to be sick. I slam the phone down on the table, my breath coming in short, ragged gasps. How could she do this to me? To our family, my thoughts race a chaotic mess of anger, hurt, and disbelief. I want to storm upstairs, shake her awake, and demand answers, but a part of me knows that won't change anything. The evidence is right here in my hands, undeniable. I don't know how long I sit there staring at the phone, but eventually I hear footsteps. I look up, and Sarah is standing in the doorway, wearing that red robe I bought her last Christmas. She looks at me, then at the phone on the table. Her face goes pale. "Mike, what are you doing?" she asks, her voice trembling. I can't bring myself to answer. I just keep staring at her, my jaw clenched, my fists tight. "Why do you have that?" she asks, stepping closer. "Why do you have it?" I finally snap, my voice low and dangerous. "How long, Sarah? How long have you been screwing him?" She gasps, her hand flying to her mouth. "It's not what you think." "Don't lie to me," I shout, my voice echoing through the empty house. "I've seen the messages, the pictures. How could you do this to me?" To our family, tears well up in her eyes, and for a moment, I see the woman I fell in love with, the woman who swore she'd always be by my side. But that woman is gone, replaced by someone I don't recognize. "Mike, please. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything." "I love you. I swear I do." "A mistake?" I laugh bitterly. "This doesn't look like a mistake, Sarah. It looks like you've been living a double life." She breaks down, sobbing, and tries to reach for me, but I pull away. Her touch feels like poison. "I didn't want to hurt you," she cries. "I've been so confused, so lost. He, he was just a distraction, something to fill the void." "A void?" I repeat, my voice shaking with rage. "We have a life together, Sarah, a family, and you threw it all away for a distraction?" She sinks to the floor, her sobs echoing in the kitchen. I want to feel pity, to reach out and comfort her, but all I feel is anger. Anger so intense it scares me. "I can't even look at you right now," I say through clenched teeth. "You've destroyed everything." "Mike, please," she begs, her voice barely a whisper. "We can fix this. We can go to counseling, talk it out. I'll do anything, just don't leave me. Don't take the kids away from me." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. The kids. What am I supposed to tell them? How do I explain that their mother betrayed us? That our family is falling apart? My hands shake as I rub my face, trying to hold back the tears that threaten to spill over. "I don't know if there's anything left to fix," I finally say, my voice hollow. "You've broken us, Sarah. I don't even know who you are anymore." She tries to speak, but I cut her off. "I need to think," I say, standing up and grabbing the phone. "I need to get out of here." "Mike, please," she cries, but I'm already walking away. I can't stay here. Not now. The walls feel like they're closing in, suffocating me. I grab my coat and keys, not even bothering to change out of my pajamas, and head for the door. I drive aimlessly for what feels like hours, the city lights blurring past as I try to make sense of everything. My mind keeps replaying the images on that phone, each one like a knife in my heart. I pull over at a deserted parking lot and just sit there, my head in my hands. I don't know how long I stay there, but eventually the sun begins to rise, casting a dull gray light over the world. I feel numb, drained, like I've been hollowed out. I don't want to go home, but I don't know where else to go. I finally pull out my phone and call my best friend Greg. He picks up on the second ring. "Mike, what's going on? It's early, man." "Greg, I need to talk," I say, my voice barely above a whisper. "Are you okay?" "You sound like hell." "I'm not okay. I am booty. Going by I admit, feeling the tears start to come again. I'm really not okay. Greg doesn't ask any more questions. "Where are you? I'll meet you." I give him the location and he's there in 20 minutes. I don't have to say much. Greg's known me long enough to see that I'm barely holding it together. "Let's get some coffee," he says, his voice calm, steady. It's exactly what I need. We sit in a quiet diner, sipping our coffee in silence at first. Finally, I tell him everything. About Sarah, about David, about the affair. The words come out in a rush, and by the time I'm done, I feel like I've been run over by a truck. Greg listens, his expression darkening as I talk. When I finish, he sets his cup down and looks at me, his eyes hard. You can't go back to her, Mike. Not after this. I don't know what to do, I admit. I feel like my whole life just exploded. Listen, he says, leaning forward. You need to think about yourself and the kids. If she's been doing this behind your back, who knows what else she's capable of? You need to protect yourself. I nod, though the idea of leaving Sarah, of breaking up our family, feels like a knife in my chest. But Greg's right. I can't ignore what I've found. As we leave the diner, my phone buzzes. It's a text from Sarah. Please come home. We need to talk. I don't reply. I can't face her. Not yet. But I can't avoid her forever either. I know I'll have to confront her, to make decisions that will change everything. But right now, I just need to breathe. The next day, I'm sitting in my office, staring blankly at the computer screen. I've barely slept, my thoughts consumed by what I've uncovered. Sarah's text messages have gone unanswered, and I haven't been home since I left. I'm trying to focus on work, but my mind keeps drifting back to her, to David, to the life I thought I had. Around noon, there's a knock on my office door. It's my assistant, Karen, looking unusually nervous. Mike, there are some men here to see you, she says, her voice shaky. Who are they? I ask, already feeling a knot of anxiety forming in my stomach. They're police officers, she says, stepping aside to reveal two men in dark suits standing behind her. Mr. Donovan, one of them says, stepping forward. We need to ask you a few questions. Please come with us. My heart stops. What's this about? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. You're under arrest for embezzlement and fraud, the officer says, pulling out a pair of handcuffs. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. The words blur together as they cuff me and lead me out of the office. My colleagues stare as I'm marched out like a criminal. My mind races trying to make sense of what's happening. This has to be some kind of mistake. But as I'm shoved into the back of the police car, one thought cuts through the chaos. David, he's behind this. I've been set up. The realization hits me like a sledgehammer, and I feel a cold, sinking dread settle in my gut. I'm in deep trouble, and I have no idea how to get out of it. My world collapses in slow motion. The police drag me from the office, and I'm too stunned to resist. People stop and stare, whispering. Karen's eyes are wide with shock as she watches me being shoved into the back of the squad car. The door slams shut, sealing my fate inside a nightmare I can't wake up from. As we drive to the station, I can't stop thinking about Sarah and David. They're behind this. It's so obvious now, but I didn't see it coming. I was too blinded by my love for her, by the life we'd built together. The betrayal cuts deep, and I feel a cold fury building inside me, replacing the initial shock. At the station, they process me like a criminal. Fingerprints, mugshot, the whole humiliating ordeal. The officer, who's barely said a word to me, finally speaks. You're allowed one phone call. I don't want to call Sarah. The thought of hearing her voice, the lies she'll spin, makes my skin crawl. Instead, I dial Tom's number. He picks up on the second ring. Mike, what's going on? Where are you? His voice is tense, full of concern. I'm at the police station, I say, my voice flat. They arrested me. Embezzlement, fraud, all bullshit. What? That's insane. You're not... Look, I'm on my way. Don't say anything to anyone until I get there. I hang up, too drained to even respond. I'm led to a small, sterile room with a metal table and two chairs. They leave me there, alone with my thoughts, which spiral into a dark abyss. Sarah and David must have planned this for months, laying the groundwork while I was blissfully ignorant. I don't know how much time passes before the door swings open. Tom strides in, his face a mixture of worry and anger. He sits across from me, searching my face for answers. Mike, what the hell is going on? He asks, leaning forward. I don't even know where to start, I mutter, rubbing my temples. It's Sarah. She's been having an affair with this guy, David, and now I'm being framed for something I didn't do. Tom's eyes widen. Sarah, an affair? Are you sure? I nod, the image of those explicit messages and photos flashing in my mind. I found the evidence. A secret phone, texts, pictures. It's all real, Tom. And now this setup. I'm sure David's behind it. He's got power, influence. I didn't stand a chance. Tom's face darkens. We'll get you out of this. I'll call my lawyer, the best there is. But Mike, this is going to be a fight. They'll drag you through the mud. I can only nod, my mind racing. What about the kids? What about my job? Everything's on the line here, Tom. We'll deal with it, he says firmly. One step at a time. First, we get you out of here. Then, we figure out how to take down this David guy. Hours later, I'm released on bail. The charges are still looming over me like a dark cloud, but at least I'm not in a cell. I feel a strange mix of relief and dread as Tom drives me back to my house. No, to the house. It doesn't feel like home anymore. When we pull up to the driveway, the sight of it fills me with a sense of foreboding. Sarah's car is there, parked neatly, as if nothing is wrong. I take a deep breath, trying to steady the anger boiling inside me. Are you sure you want to do this? Tom asks, his hand on my shoulder. We can get your things another time. No, I say, my voice firm. I need to confront her. I need answers. Tom nods, understanding, but he stays in the car. I'm glad. This is something I have to face alone. I walk up to the door, my heart pounding in my chest. I unlock it, stepping inside, and the familiar scent of the house hits me like a punch to the gut. Everything looks the same, but nothing feels right. I hear the TV in the living room, the low murmur of voices. Sarah is sitting on the couch, the kids next to her, watching a movie. She looks up as I enter, her eyes widening in surprise. Mike, I didn't know you were coming home. I can barely look at her. Kids, go to your rooms, I say, my voice tight. Mom and I need to talk. They glance at each other, sensing the tension, but they do as I say, casting worried looks back at us as they disappear upstairs. The moment they're gone, the mask falls from Sarah's face. She knows what's coming. Mike, listen. No, you listen, I snap, cutting her off. You set me up. You and that bastard you're sleeping with. You framed me, Sarah. I found the phone. I saw the messages. You've been lying to me for months. Her eyes fill with tears, but I don't feel a shred of sympathy. It wasn't supposed to go this far. David said he'd help us, that he'd make things easier, but I didn't know this would happen. Easier? I repeat, incredulous. You destroyed our family, our life, for what? Money? Power? What did he offer you that was worth this? She shakes her head, sobbing now, but I don't buy it. It wasn't about money, Mike. I was scared. I didn't know how to get out of it. He's dangerous. You don't know what he's capable of. I know exactly what he's capable of, I say coldly. He set me up to take the fall, to ruin me, and you helped him. Sarah breaks down completely, sinking to the floor, her cries echoing in the empty house. I feel nothing but a cold, bitter resolve. I can't let this end here. I need to fight back and to clear my name, to protect my kids from whatever mess she's dragged us into. I leave her there, unable to bear the sight of her anymore. I go upstairs to the bedroom and start packing a bag. I don't know where I'll go, but I can't stay here. As I shove clothes into the suitcase, I hear a soft knock on the door. It's Tom. You all right? He asks, stepping inside. I'm leaving, I say, zipping up the bag. I can't stay here, not after everything. Tom nods, understanding. You can stay with me for as long as you need. But Mike, what's your plan? You can't just run. I'm not running, I say, my voice firm. I'm going to fight back. I'm going to find out everything I can about David, about what he's done. I need to clear my name, for the kids' sake. Tom looks at me, concern etched on his face. Mike, this guy, he's dangerous. He's got connections, power. You're going to need help. I know, I admit, but I can't just sit back and let him destroy my life. I need to do something. Tom sighs, rubbing his temples. I'll help you in any way I can. We'll start digging into his background. See what we can find. But be careful, Mike. Don't underestimate him. I won't, I promise, though deep down I know this won't be easy, but I don't have a choice. I have to clear my name to protect my kids, and I won't let David win. The next few days are a blur. I move in with Tom, who helps me contact his lawyer, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Jessica, who immediately starts working on my case. But as she digs into the charges against me, it becomes clear just how deep David's influence runs. The evidence against me is overwhelming. Falsified documents, forged signatures, bank transfers that I never authorized. He's covered all his bases, and it's going to be nearly impossible to prove my innocence. But I can't let that stop me. I start spending every waking hour researching David, trying to find anything that could help me. I barely sleep, fueled by a mix of rage and desperation. I uncover a web of corruption, bribes, and backroom deals that make my head spin. David's tentacles are everywhere, in the police, the courts, the city government. It's no wonder he's untouchable. One night, as I'm buried in documents, Tom walks into the room. He looks exhausted, his tie loosened, and a weary expression on his face. "Mike, we need to talk," he says, sitting down across from me. "I've been doing some digging, and I don't know how to say this, but I think Sarah might be in deeper than you realize." I feel a chill run down my spine. "What do you mean?" Tom hesitates, clearly struggling with how to say what's on his mind. "I think Sarah knew exactly what David was planning. I think she's been working with him from the start." His words hit me like a sledgehammer. "No," I say, shaking my head. "She's messed up, sure, but she wouldn't do that. She wouldn't betray me like that." "Mike, I've found some things. Emails, records. I think she was in on it. All of it." I feel sick to my stomach. The room spins as I try to process what Tom is saying. If he's right, if Sarah was involved from the start, then everything I thought I knew is a lie. My whole life, my marriage, my family, it's all been a sham. "I'm sorry, Mike," Tom says, his voice full of sympathy, "but you need to be prepared. This is going to get worse before it gets better." I nod numbly, my mind a whirlwind of anger, betrayal, and despair. I don't know how much more of this I can take, but I know one thing for sure. I won't let them win. I'll find a way to clear my name, to expose David and Sarah for what they are. Even if it's the last thing I do, I wake up to the sound of glass shattering. My heart races, jolting me out of sleep. It's still dark, early morning maybe, and the house is quiet. Too quiet. I'm not at home, I remind myself. I haven't been back since that day. I'm at Tom's, holed up in his guest room like a fugitive, but the sound wasn't a dream. Someone is here. I grab the baseball bat I've been keeping by the bed, my knuckles white as I hold it tight. I move silently toward the bedroom door, every step calculated. My breath is shallow, my mind racing. Who could it be? David's men? Some thug he sent to shut me up for good? The hallway is pitch black, but I know the layout. I creep down the stairs, following the sound of footsteps. There's a figure moving in the living room, a shadow among shadows. I can just make out the glint of a knife in his hand. Adrenaline surges through me. I lunge forward, swinging the bat with all my strength. It connects with a sickening thud, and the man crumples to the floor, his knife clattering away. I don't stop, not until I'm sure he's out cold. I stand there, panting, the bat still raised, my pulse thundering in my ears. Tom bursts into the room, his face pale as he takes in the scene. "Mike, what the hell happened?" I lower the bat, my hand shaking. "Someone broke in," I manage to say, my voice hoarse. I think he's one of David's." Tom nods grimly. "We need to get out of here, now." We don't waste time. Tom grabs his keys and his wallet, and I make sure the man on the floor is unconscious before we slip out the back door. We get into Tom's car, and he speeds off into the night, not looking back. We drive in silence for a while, the weight of what just happened pressing down on us. My thoughts are a tangled mess, fear, anger, and a growing sense of urgency. I can't keep playing defense. David is escalating, and if I don't act fast, he'll destroy everything. "We need a new plan," I say finally, breaking the silence. I'm done waiting for him to come to me. I'm going after him. Tom glances at me, his face tense. How? He's untouchable, Mike. He's got money, connections. He's already framed you for a crime you didn't commit. You can't just walk into his office and demand answers. I'm not walking in, I say, an idea forming in my mind. I'm breaking in. Tom looks at me like I've lost my mind. Maybe I have. But I know this is the only way. David has information, something that can clear my name, I'm sure of it, and I'm going to get it no matter what. The next day I start planning. I use everything I know as an architect to map out a way into David's office building. It's a fortress designed to keep people like me out, but I know its weaknesses. Every building has them, even ones built like fortresses. Tom helps me gather what I need: blueprints, tools, a way to disable the security systems. We go over the plan again and again, refining every detail. It's risky, almost suicidal, but it's all I have left. As the night of the break-in approaches, I feel a strange calm settle over me. I'm ready. This is it. The moment that will either save me or destroy me completely. We wait until the early hours when the city is asleep and David's building is least guarded. I slip inside, avoiding the cameras and the patrols, my heart pounding in my chest. The corridors are dark, silent, each step taking me deeper into the heart of the beast. I make it to David's office, the door looming in front of me like the gate to hell. I take a deep breath, steadying myself, and begin working on the lock. It's intricate, designed to keep people like me out, but I've prepared for this. The door clicks open and I slip inside. The office is dark, the only light coming from the city outside. It's sterile, cold, a reflection of the man who owns it. I move quickly, searching the room for anything that could help me. Files, documents, anything. And then I find it, a small flash drive hidden in a drawer. My hands shake as I pick it up, feeling the weight of it, the power it holds. This is it, the evidence I need to clear my name, to bring David down. But before I can leave, the lights flicker on. I spin around and there he is, standing in the doorway with a gun pointed at me. Going somewhere, Mike? David's voice is calm, almost amused. I have to admit, I didn't expect you to come here yourself. Gutsy. Stupid, but gutsy. My heart races, but I keep my voice steady. It's over, David. I've got what I need. The police. The police, David interrupts with a laugh. They're mine, Mike. You think they're going to help you? You've already been arrested. Your life is in ruins. No one is coming to save you. He steps closer, the gun trained on my chest. But you know what? I'm impressed. You've lasted longer than I expected. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to give me that drive, and I might just let you walk out of here alive. I clutch the flash drive in my hand, weighing my options. I'm cornered, outmatched. But I can't give up now, not when I'm so close. Or, I say, trying to keep the fear out of my voice, you could just let me go. You've already won, David. This drive, it's not worth the trouble. Let me walk away and you'll never see me again. David smirks, but there's a flicker of doubt in his eyes. You really think you can bargain with me, Mike, after everything? He steps even closer, the gun inches from my chest now. You're nothing, Mike. A pawn in my game, and pawns don't get to make deals. The tension in the room is unbearable, the seconds stretching into eternity. I know I'm running out of time. I need to act, and I need to act now. In one swift motion, I throw the flash drive across the room. David's eyes follow it, and in that split second of distraction, I lunge at him, grabbing for the gun. We struggle, the gun going off with a deafening bang. The noise echoes in the room, but I don't feel any pain. The shot went wide. I slammed David's hand against the wall, the gun clattering to the floor. We're both breathing hard, the fight desperate, primal. He's stronger than I expected, but I've got the adrenaline of a man with nothing left to lose. I finally managed to throw him off me, sending him crashing into his desk. The moment he's down, I grab the flash drive and bolt for the door, my heart pounding in my chest. David's curses follow me as I sprint down the hallway, my footsteps echoing in the empty building. I don't look back. I can't. All I can think about is getting out, getting away. I burst out into the night, the cold air hitting me like a slap. I keep running, my breath ragged, the drive clutched tight in my hand. I don't stop until I'm several blocks away, ducking into an alley to catch my breath. I lean against the wall, my heart still racing, the reality of what just happened crashing down on me. I made it out. I have the evidence, but this is far from over. I pull out my phone, hands trembling as I dial Tom's number. He picks up immediately. Mike, are you okay? What happened? I got it, I gasp, still trying to catch my breath. I got the evidence, but David, he knows. He's going to come after me. Where are you? Tom asks, his voice urgent. I give him my location and he tells me to stay put, that he's on his way. I hang up, my mind racing. I'm so close, but I know David won't stop until he's destroyed me completely. As I wait for Tom, I open the flash drive on my phone, my heart pounding as the files load. What I see confirms everything. Records of illegal deals, bribes, the entire web of corruption that David has spun over the years. It's all there, enough to bring him down. But as I scroll through the files, I find something else. Emails between David and Sarah. My blood runs cold as I read them, each word like a knife in my gut. They planned this together, every step. Sarah was in on it from the start, playing me for a fool, using our life, our family as part of their twisted game. The betrayal cuts deeper than anything I've ever felt. I've been fighting to protect my family, to clear my name, but all along, the person I trusted most was working to destroy me. I don't know what to think, what to feel, the rage, the sorrow, the overwhelming sense of loss. It's too much. But one thing is clear, I can't trust anyone. Not even Tom. Not even myself. Tom arrives a few minutes later, his car screeching to a stop in front of the alley. I get in, my face blank, my mind a whirlwind. We need to go somewhere safe, he says, his voice steady. We need to plan our next move. I nod, but my thoughts are a million miles away. I have the evidence. I can clear my name. But at what cost? Everything I've ever loved, everything I've ever believed in has been shattered. As we drive into the night, I know there's no turning back. I'm going to bring David down, no matter what. But I'm not sure I'll ever recover from what I've lost. Emily and I sit across from each other in her small, cluttered apartment. The place is filled with the hum of computers, the flicker of monitors casting a blue glow over her focused face. She's been at this for hours, working tirelessly to crack the encryption on the flash drive. I watch her fingers fly over the keyboard, my own nerves fraying with each passing minute. This drive holds everything. My last hope to clear my name and bring David down. I'm almost there, Emily mutters, not taking her eyes off the screen. Her voice is calm, but I can sense the tension beneath it. She knows what's at stake. I nod, though she can't see me. My mind is racing, jumping between the images I saw on that drive and the fear that gnaws at my gut. Sarah's betrayal keeps playing in my head, over and over like a broken record. I've been a fool, blinded by love, by trust. But now the truth is out, and all that's left is the need for justice. The room is hot, stifling. I can't sit still, so I start pacing, running my hands through my hair, trying to shake the anxiety that's building inside me. Every noise outside, every creak of the floorboards, makes me jump. David's reach is long, and I know he won't let this go without a fight. You've got this, right? I ask, needing reassurance, though I know Emily has more than proven herself. She glances up at me, her eyes tired but determined. Yeah, Mike, I've got this. Just give me a few more minutes. I force myself to sit down, my knee bouncing with restless energy. I know she's doing everything she can, but every second that passes feels like an eternity. My phone buzzes on the table and I snatch it up, my heart lurching in my chest. It's a text from Tom. Any progress? You need to be careful, Mike. David's not going to wait around. I type back a quick reply. Working on it. I'll keep you posted. The truth is, I'm scared. Scared that this won't be enough. That David will find a way to wriggle out of this, that I'll be left with nothing. But I can't afford to think like that. I've come too far, lost too much to give up now. Emily suddenly stops typing, her eyes widening as she leans closer to the screen. Mike, I think I've got something. I'm at her side in an instant, peering over her shoulder. The screen is filled with lines of code, but then a list of files begins to appear. Hundreds of them, all labeled with names, dates, transactions. My heart skips a beat as I realize what we're looking at. This is it, I whisper, more to myself than to her. This is everything. Emily nods, her fingers moving rapidly as she opens the files, scanning through the contents. These are records of payments, deals, bribes, everything David's been involved in. This could take him down, Mike. But there's more. Personal emails, messages. He's been in contact with some very dangerous people. My eyes narrow as I spot something on the screen. Wait, go back. That name. I recognize it. Emily scrolls back, and there it is. A message from David to a man named Marcus, discussing a meeting to finalize plans. Marcus. The name is familiar, but I can't place it. Then it hits me. He's a fixer, the kind of guy who makes problems disappear. The kind of guy who could make me disappear if David wanted. Emily seems to have the same realization, her face going pale. Mike, if David's involved with someone like Marcus, you're in even more danger than we thought. We need to act fast. I nod, my mind already racing through the options. We need to get this to the authorities, but not just any authorities. David's got too many people in his pocket. We need someone clean, someone who can't be bought. Emily thinks for a moment, then nods. I know a guy. He's an investigator with the FBI, and he's as straight as they come. If we can get this to him, we might stand a chance. I feel a surge of hope, but it's quickly tempered by the reality of the situation. And what about Marcus? If David knows we're onto him, he won't hesitate to send someone after us. We need to be careful. Emily's eyes meet mine, and for a moment, I see the fear in them, the same fear that's gnawing at me. But then she nods, determination hardening her features. We'll figure it out, Mike. We'll get through this. I want to believe her, but I know how dangerous this game has become. Still, there's no turning back now. We gather the files, making multiple copies, and prepare to leave. Emily hands me one of the drives, her expression serious. Keep this safe. If anything happens, this is your insurance. I take it, the small drive feeling heavy in my hand. And you? She smirks, trying to lighten the mood. I'm not going anywhere. I've got a few tricks up my sleeve. I smile back, but it's forced. The reality is we're both in way over our heads. But we don't have a choice. As we head to the door, Emily suddenly stops, her face going pale. I follow her gaze to the window where a shadow moves across the glass. Someone's outside. My blood runs cold. Back, I whisper, pulling Emily away from the door. We need to go out the back. We move quickly, silently, slipping out the back door and into the alley behind her building. My heart is pounding, the adrenaline surging through me as we duck behind a dumpster, waiting. We hear the front door of her apartment crash open, and heavy footsteps echo inside. They're looking for us. Emily grabs my hand, pulling me toward the far end of the alley. Come on, I know another way out. We sprint through the narrow alleyways, dodging around corners, my mind racing with fear and determination. We can't afford to get caught. Not now, not when we're so close. The city blurs around us as we run, every shadow feeling like a threat, every sound like a warning. Finally, we burst out onto a main street, the noise and lights of the city hitting us like a wave. We blend into the crowd, moving quickly, not daring to look back. We need to get to the FBI contact, to hand over the evidence before it's too late. We flag down a cab, and as we slide into the back seat, I can't help but glance at Emily. She's shaking, her hands clenched into fists, but there's a fierce resolve in her eyes. We're going to make it, and she says more to herself than to me. We're going to bring him down. I nod, my jaw clenched. Yeah, we are. The ride to the FBI office feels like it takes forever. Every time the cab slows down, every time we hit a red light, my heart skips a beat. I keep expecting a car to pull up beside us, a gun to appear in the window, but nothing happens. We reach the office without incident, and I feel a small surge of relief as we approach the building. Emily's contact meets us in a private room, his expression grim as we explain the situation. He doesn't ask unnecessary questions, just listens, his face growing darker as we lay out the evidence. "This is serious," he finally says, his voice low. "David's been on our radar for a while, but we never had anything concrete. This could be the break we need, but it's going to take time to build a case, to get everything in order." "We don't have time," I say, my voice edged with desperation. "David's coming after us. He knows we have this. We need protection, and we need to move fast." The agent nods, understanding. "I'll put you both in protective custody, but you need to stay out of sight, off the grid. This won't be over quickly, and it's going to get worse before it gets better." I swallow hard, the weight of his words sinking in. We've started something we can't stop, and now we're trapped in a game with deadly stakes. Emily and I are taken to a safe house, a small, nondescript apartment in a quiet part of the city. It feels surreal sitting in the living room, waiting for the other shoe to drop. The tension between us is palpable, the fear gnawing at our nerves. I look over at Emily, who's sitting on the couch, staring at the floor. The reality of the situation is hitting her too. She's been dragged into my nightmare, and I can't help but feel responsible. "I'm sorry," I say, breaking the silence, "for getting you involved in this." She looks up at me, her eyes tired but resolute. "You didn't drag me into anything, Mike. I chose to help you, and I'm not backing out now." I nod, grateful but still feeling the guilt gnawing at me. I can't let anything happen to her, not after everything she's done for me. We sit in silence for a while, the tension thick in the air. Finally, Emily speaks, her voice soft. "What are you going to do about Sarah?" The question catches me off guard. I've been so focused on David, on the fight ahead, that I haven't had time to think about Sarah. But now her betrayal looms over me, dark and suffocating. "I don't know," I admit, my voice hollow. "I thought I knew her, but now I don't know anything anymore." Emily reaches out, placing a hand on mine. The touch is warm, comforting, and I find myself holding on to it like a lifeline. "You'll get through this, Mike. And when it's all over, you'll figure out what comes next." I nod, but the future feels uncertain, like a dark tunnel with no end in sight. I've lost so much, and I'm about to lose more. But I won't stop. I can't. I have to see this through, no matter the cost. As we prepare for the battle ahead, I know one thing for sure. I'm not the same man I was before. The betrayal, the lesions, the fight for survival, they've changed me, hardened me. And when this is over, I'll be the one standing, no matter who else falls. The courtroom is colder than I expected. I sit at the defense table, my hands clasped together, trying to keep them from trembling. It's not fear, no, I'm past that. It's the anticipation, the unbearable tension of waiting for the inevitable. This trial is the culmination of everything I've fought for, everything I've lost. My eyes scan the room, taking in the faces, some sympathetic, others hostile. They all want to know if I'm guilty or innocent, if the man they see before them is a victim or a villain. The prosecutor stands, her voice sharp as she lays out the case against me. She's good, calm, methodical, painting a picture of a man who orchestrated an elaborate embezzlement scheme, who betrayed the trust of his colleagues and clients for financial gain. I watch the jury as she speaks, their faces impassive, absorbing every word. It's a damning narrative, one that's been meticulously constructed, but it's a lie, and today I'm going to prove it. "Mr. Donovan," my lawyer Jessica says, snapping me back to the present, "it's time." I nod, standing up, every movement deliberate, controlled. I've rehearsed this moment 1,000 times, gone over every word, every possible scenario, but nothing could prepare me for the reality of it. The eyes of the courtroom are on me as I take the stand, the weight of their scrutiny pressing down on me. I take a deep breath, steadying myself. This is my chance to tell my side of the story. Jessica begins with the basics. My background, my career, my family. It's a way to humanize me, to remind the jury that I'm more than just a defendant. I answer her questions carefully, my voice calm, measured. I can't afford to let my emotions get the better of me. Not here, not now. Then she gets to the heart of the matter, the allegations, the supposed evidence against me. I can see the jurors leaning forward slightly, their interest piqued. This is what they've been waiting for. Mr. Donovan at the. And then Jessica says, her voice steady. Can you explain how you came to be accused of these crimes? And I nod, swallowing hard. It all started when I discovered my wife, Sarah, was having an affair with David Mason, a man I thought was a friend. At first, I was devastated, but I didn't realize just how deep their betrayal went until I was arrested for embezzlement, a crime I didn't commit. The charges against me were fabricated, a setup designed by David to cover his own tracks and to ruin my life. The prosecutor immediately objects, claiming that I'm trying to shift the blame, but the judge allows me to continue. I force myself to keep going, to push through the anger and betrayal that's threatening to choke me. David had the connections, the power to manipulate the system. He made it look like I was the mastermind behind everything, but it wasn't me, it was him. He and Sarah were in it together. The courtroom is silent, the tension thick. I can feel the eyes of the jury on me, weighing my words. This is it, the moment I've been working toward, the moment that could either save me or destroy me. Jessica walks me through the evidence we've gathered, the flash drive, the financial records, the emails. She's careful, methodical, just like the prosecutor was, but there's a key difference. Our evidence is the truth. I watch as the jury's expressions shift, as they start to see the cracks in the case against me, as doubt begins to creep in. Then comes the hardest part, Sarah's role in all of this. I can't even bring myself to look at her as I speak, as I reveal the depth of her betrayal. I describe the moment I discovered she was working with David, how I found the emails, the messages that proved she was involved in framing me. The pain of it is still raw, a wound that refuses to heal, but I push through it. I have to. Jessica is relentless, hammering home the points we need to make. The jury is listening, really listening now. I can see it in their eyes, the way they glance at the prosecutor who's starting to look less confident. But the real test is yet to come. When Jessica finishes, the prosecutor rises, her expression cold, calculating. She's going to try to tear me apart, to cast doubt on everything I've said. I brace myself as she approaches the stand, her eyes narrowing as she prepares to attack. Mr. Donovan, she begins, her voice dripping with skepticism. You claim that you were set up by Mr. Mason, that your wife was complicit in this scheme. But isn't it true that you had control over the company's finances? That you had access to the accounts that were used in these fraudulent transactions? I knew this was coming. I had access, yes, but I didn't use that access to commit fraud. David had my passwords, my credentials. He used them to make it look like I was the one behind everything. And yet, she presses, there's no direct evidence linking Mr. Mason to these transactions, is there? All we have is your word and some emails that, quite frankly, could be interpreted in many ways. My jaw tightens, but I keep my voice calm. The evidence on the flash drive is circumstantial at best, she interrupts. The jury needs more than just your word, Mr. Donovan. They need proof, concrete proof that you're not the one who orchestrated this. I take a deep breath, steadying myself. I can't offer you a smoking gun, no. But what I can offer is the truth, and the truth is that I was set up. I was betrayed by the people I trusted most. She doesn't let up, continuing to hammer me with questions, trying to trip me up, to make me lose my composure. But I hold steady, answering each question with as much clarity and honesty as I can muster. I can feel the jury watching, analyzing every word, every gesture. It's exhausting, mentally and emotionally, but I can't afford to falter. Finally, the prosecutor steps back, her expression tight. She knows she hasn't broken me, but she also knows the jury's decision could go either way. As I step down from the stand, I feel a wave of exhaustion hit me. The weight of the trial, of everything that's happened, is crushing. But I can't let it show, not yet. And then the moment I've been dreading arrives. Sarah is called to the stand. My stomach knots as she walks to the front of the courtroom, her face pale, her hands trembling slightly. I haven't seen her since this all began, and now, watching her sit in that chair, I'm flooded with conflicting emotions. Anger, betrayal, sadness, but also a twisted sense of longing. Despite everything, part of me still remembers the woman I fell in love with, the life we had together before it all went to hell. The prosecutor starts with easy questions about our marriage, our life together, painting a picture of a woman who was faithful, loving, until she was drawn into something beyond her control. Sarah answers in a soft, steady voice, her eyes downcast. She's playing the victim, and I can see the jury buying it, their sympathy shifting toward her. But then Jessica stands and the tone shifts. "Mrs. Donovan," she begins, her voice sharp, "isn't it true that you were having an affair with Mr. Mason?" Sarah hesitates, and I can see the fear in her eyes. "Yes," she finally admits, her voice barely above a whisper. "And isn't it also true," Jessica continues, "that you were aware of Mr. Mason's plan to frame your husband, that you even assisted him in gathering the information needed to do so?" Sarah's face pales even more, but she shakes her head. "No, that's not true. I didn't know what David was planning. He told me, he told me it was all a misunderstanding, that he was just trying to help us. I didn't know." Jessica doesn't let her finish. "Mrs. Donovan, are you saying that you were completely unaware of the fact that Mr. Mason was using you to destroy your husband's life, that you were just an innocent bystander?" I, Sarah's voice falters, her composure cracking. "I didn't know, I swear. I thought, I thought it was just a way to get what we needed, to make our lives better." Jessica steps closer, her voice lowering, becoming almost intimate. "Mrs. Donovan, are you afraid of Mr. Mason?" Sarah looks up, her eyes wide with surprise. "What?" "No, I'm not. I mean, I don't," Jessica presses on. "Because if you are, now is the time to tell the truth. If Mr. Mason threatened you, coerced you, forced you to do things you didn't want to do, the court needs to know." For a moment, I see something flicker in Sarah's eyes. Fear, guilt, I'm not sure, but then she shakes her head again, more forcefully this time. "No, he didn't threaten me. I, I made my own choices." It's a small victory, but I can see the impact it has on the jury. Sarah's refusal to play the victim, to shift the blame entirely onto David, has shaken their sympathy for her. But it's not enough. Jessica needs something more, something that will definitively turn the tide. As Sarah steps down from the stand, I feel a pang of sadness. This is the woman I loved, the woman I shared my life with, and now she's a stranger to me. But I can't dwell on that, not now. I need to focus on what comes next. Jessica looks at me, and I nod, signaling that I'm ready for the final move. She turns back to the judge, holding up a small device, the hidden audio recording I managed to capture during my confrontation with David. "Your Honor," Jessica says, "with the court's permission, we would like to play a recording that will shed light on the true nature of the conspiracy against my client." The judge nods, and the room falls silent as the recording begins to play. David's voice fills the courtroom, cold and calculating, as he outlines his plan to frame me, to use Sarah to manipulate me, to destroy my life for his own gain. The jury listens, their expressions hardening as the truth finally comes to light. When the recording ends, the room is dead silent. I can see the impact it's had, the jury's doubt, the prosecutor's anger, the judge's solemn nod. This is it, the turning point. The prosecutor tries to recover, to cast doubt on the recording, but it's too late. The damage is done. Jessica delivers her closing argument with precision, driving home the point that I am not the criminal here. I am the victim of a twisted, calculated conspiracy. As the jury deliberates, I sit in the cold, empty courtroom, my mind a whirlwind of thoughts. I've done everything I can. Now, all that's left is to wait. Sarah sits on the other side of the room, her face blank, her eyes downcast. We don't speak. There's nothing left to say. When the jury returns, the verdict is read, not guilty. The words wash over me, a wave of relief and exhaustion. I'm free. But as I look around the room at the wreckage of what was once my life, I wonder what that freedom really means. David is arrested, and Sarah's involvement is exposed. Her life, like mine, is in ruins. But unlike me, she made her choices. She played her part in this nightmare, and now she has to live with the consequences. As I leave the courtroom, I feel a strange sense of detachment, as if I'm watching my life from the outside. The trial is over, the truth is out, but the scars remain. I'm free, but at what cost? The trial is over, but the echoes of it linger. I'm free, my name cleared, but everything I once had is gone. The house, the kids, the life I thought was secure. All shattered. I stand outside the courthouse, the chill of the early morning biting through my coat, and I try to find a sense of closure. It's strange. After all the months of fighting, of surviving, I don't feel victorious. I feel empty. Reporters are swarming outside, eager for a statement, for anything they can turn into a headline. I ignore them, pushing through the crowd, my mind's somewhere else. My thoughts are on Sarah. Even now, after everything she did, a part of me wants to understand why. But I know that answers won't bring me peace. Her life is in ruins, and so is mine. The difference is I have a chance to rebuild. Emily is waiting for me by the car. She's been my rock through all of this, and I owe her more than I can ever repay. She gives me a small, sad smile as I approach. "You did it, Mike," she says softly. "It's over." I nod, though it doesn't feel like it's over. "Thanks to you. I couldn't have done this without you." She shrugs, trying to downplay her role, but I see the pride in her eyes. We make a good team. For a moment, I let myself imagine a future with her, a new life, away from all the pain and betrayal. It's tempting, but I know I'm not ready. There are too many wounds, too many scars that need time to heal. I can't offer her anything more than friendship right now, and she deserves better. We drive in silence, the city passing by in a blur. The courthouse, the reporters, the trial, all of it fades behind us. I don't know where we're going, and I don't care. I just need to move, to keep going forward. Eventually, Emily pulls into a quiet park on the outskirts of the city. It's a place I used to take the kids when they were little, before everything went to hell. The memories are bittersweet, but there's comfort in them too. We get out of the car, and I walk to a bench overlooking the lake, the water calm and still, reflecting the overcast sky. Emily joins me, sitting close but not touching. Emily joins Gum. She understands what I need right now: space, silence, the chance to process everything that's happened. For a while, we just sit there watching the ducks glide across the water, the world quiet around us. "What will you do now?" she asks eventually, her voice gentle. I take a deep breath, considering the question. "I don't know," I admit. "I've spent so long fighting, I haven't really thought about what comes next." She nods as if she expected that answer. "Whatever it is, you'll figure it out." "You're stronger than you realize, Mike." I want to believe her, but it's hard. I've lost so much: my family, my career, the life I built with my own hands. How do I start over from that? How do I rebuild when everything feels so broken? But Emily is right about one thing. I am stronger now. The man I was before all of this wouldn't have survived. He was too trusting, too blind to the dangers around him. But I've changed. I'm not the same person who walked into this nightmare. I've been forged in the fire, and I'm still standing. I think I need some time, I say finally. Time to figure out who I am now, what I want from life. I need to find my own path, without all the noise. Emily reaches out, her hand brushing mine, offering comfort. "You deserve that. Take all the time you need. I'll be here if you need me." I squeeze her hand, grateful for her presence, for her understanding. She's been through hell with me, and she's still here. That means more to me than I can put into words. We sit in silence a little longer, the weight of the past few months slowly lifting. The future is uncertain, full of unknowns, but for the first time in a long while, I feel like I might be okay. Like I might actually have a future worth living. Finally, I stand, stretching out the stiffness from sitting too long. Emily looks up at me, her eyes questioning. I think I'm going to take a walk, I say, needing some time alone to clear my head. She nods, understanding. Take your time. I'll be here. I smile, a small, genuine smile, and start walking along the path that winds around the lake. The air is crisp, the scent of pine and earth grounding me, reminding me that there's still a world out here, still beauty to be found even after everything that's happened. As I walk, I think about the kids. I'll need to talk to them, to explain everything that's happened. It won't be easy, but they deserve the truth. I've lost so much, but I can't lose them. They're the one part of my life that still matters, the one connection to the man I used to be. And Sarah, I don't know what will happen with her. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive her or if I even want to. But I know I can't carry that anger with me forever. It'll eat me alive if I do. Maybe in time, I'll find a way to let it go, to mash the dynamic, to make peace with what she did. But that time isn't now. For now, I walk, I breathe. I let myself feel the pain, the loss, the small flicker of hope that's starting to grow inside me. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that I'm still here, still fighting, still moving forward. As I circle back toward the bench where Emily is waiting, I realize that I'm not as alone as I thought. There are people who care about me, who want to see me rebuild my life. And maybe, just maybe, I'll find a way to let them in. The sun is starting to break through the clouds, casting a soft golden light over the park. It feels like a sign, a promise of better days ahead. I take a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past finally starting to lift. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning of something new. And for the first time in a long time, I'm ready to face it.